Now, sticking with the United States, actually, they're going to station nuclear weapons in the UK for the first time in 15 years. And that's down to tensions escalating with Russia.
Pentagon documents have revealed that RAF Lakenheath in Suffolk would host the warheads that are reportedly 3 times as powerful as the Hiroshima bomb.
Well, this comes as Boris Johnson has vowed that he would fight for his country if the UK goes to war.
Well, let's speak right now to political commentator Stephen Carlton-Woods. Good morning, Stephen. What's your reaction to both of those points, actually? The fact that, once again, we're going to have American nuclear weapons in Britain and that Boris Johnson will join up if necessary.
Right, well, first of all, I'm quite surprised this story's still running. I covered this on my radio show on Thursday afternoon, looking at what these comments that were said at the time, but this rolled over into yesterday's papers as well. So the Telegraph led with this and pointed out the fact it's the first time that the Americans will have their nuclear weapons on our soil in 15 years. Now, back in 2008, as cost-cutting measures and the demise of the Cold War, that's why they removed their nuclear warheads from British soil. However, when we think about the seriousness of nuclear war these days, and as you said earlier on, the far more powerful now. In fact, they're 20 times more powerful than the bomb on Hiroshima. So, in essence, it would take only 2 nuclear warheads to wipe out mankind. So I think, we've had all these leading people talking about this, and Boris has had his tongue-in-cheek article yesterday in the Mail. I think that the bottom line for this is a recruitment drive across NATO, seeing as though that military forces, their numbers have been dwindling over the years, and they're all missing their targets to keep the levels that they need. And what more than a great story coming in everyone's press, saying that we're on the brink of war again, and it's all this doom and gloom, and we need people to join up for our forces. So I think there's a bit of that in the background. With the seriousness, are we really heading for a war within 20 years with Russia? I think the way technology is and what's happened, I think it's unlikely for it to escalate any further, because if it does escalate, the ultimate thing is nuclear war, and that's the biggest deterrent there is.
Well, biggest fear there is. Whether it's a deterrent anymore, I don't know. Let's talk about Boris Johnson, because we can't help but ask. He's saying he'd sign up if necessary. Would they want him? I mean, it's a nice sentiment, actually. It's nice that he's saying he would be prepared to put himself on the front line, but it's anyone under 50 is going to have an issue, aren't they?
I think it's this good old-fashioned British spirit and all that lot. It's very much within the flavour of his writing style anyway for him to do the article that he did. I mean, and the headline with it as well, when he said he said that he'd be coming to attention for taking up duty and all that lot. I thought it was very amusing the way he did that, and the headline for his little section. And it's like, I think he's jumping on the back of this thing about we need to bolster our forces. I think our targets are off by about 6% for our own military. So this takes us back to the days of Kitchener saying, we want you and stuff like that. So our numbers are down. We need to maintain them at a certain level. And Boris is got behind this with a bit of gusto and done his amusing article yesterday with a slant of seriousness in it as well, because Boris very much does mix it up in that way. So I would say it's still a bit of tongue-in-cheek. And if they do need people in the army for any serious escalation of war, where we'd need land troops, I think there'd be a lot more people that'd be chomping at the bit to get involved with that.
Yeah. OK. Stephen, good to see you. Thanks very much indeed. That's the piece.
That's Boris's column today.
He's promoted himself to Lance Corporal.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah, he'll be Lance Corporal. Private Johnson.
Yes, sir, he said. Lance Corporal Johnson reporting for duty.
Lance Corporal. It's very odd.
Si vis pacem, para bellum. If you want peace, prepare for war.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said for that. actually, though he didn't do that when he was in power.
No,
did
but
he?
the world was a bit different then.
Was it?
Well, it
Was it?
felt different, didn't it?
You know, under his time in government, the armed forces have been cut and cut and cut again, and now it's about we need to increase them again. So I would throw that into the mix.
I think it's a worry, though, isn't it, that it would appear that so many young people would not think for a moment of signing up and being prepared to fight for their country.
Yeah, I think it is a worry. However, I can sort of understand it in the sense that they haven't known war involving this country in the way that previous generations have.
No.
I mean, it hasn't happened in my lifetime, but of course my grandparents were involved in all of that.
It's the first thing my father did when war was like he went down to try and sign up for the RAF.
I mean, my parents were born, during ration time and all that sort of thing. So I have a connection to it. But anyone sort of younger than me, not even their grandparents can relate to it. So it's just not within their mindset, is it?
No, but whose fault is that? Maybe
It's ours. We should be keeping. It's a bit like we're going to be talking about Holocaust Memorial Day today, and one of the key lessons is always you need to
Never
talk
forget.
about it so that we don't repeat it. And that's what we haven't done with this and the war films and all the rest of it. There's always war films on the telly when I was little and all that sort of thing. It's all died off.
Although, it's a big D-Day anniversary coming up, June the 6th this year. And we do always celebrate D-Day, don't we? We always sort of mark it. And the cenotaph and everything like that, we mark it. But we mark it as something that happened really long ago and not part of our life. And yet, actually, look at it, it is.
I think it needs to be looked at again.